Once we get this little alert that we're good, there we go. All right, here we go. Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now desk. Thanks for joining us here Friday, June 9th. If you were here for the last little talk back I did, you know what we're doing here. We're joined by a very special guest here, Coach Robinson over at Augusta. Oops, let me make sure I get him on the screen here. Over at Augusta Christian, fresh off a state championship season in baseball. Also, Dan Booth, of course, our sports director. So, Coach, we appreciate you joining us. How have things been the last couple weeks after winning the state title?
It's been a good couple of weeks. We finished the season with the state championship. Now the boys are off doing their own thing. I'm on vacation right now. So it's been nice to kind of finally relax after 6 hard months of baseball.
I believe it. And you said you told me just a minute ago you're already looking forward to next year. What is it about that you're just ready to get back after it?
Man, just the team we have coming back. And I believe that, now they've been there, done that. They know how to get it done again. We had a great senior team this year, and we'll have a great senior team next year as well.
Yeah, and just getting into the season a little bit, you guys opened up at SRP Park against Evans. Game didn't go your way, but still, what was it like to open up the season at SRP and kind of get your guys that experience on a different, not an ordinary field for them?
Man, it was a blast. Tom over at SRP, they've been great. We've already got a game scheduled with them next year, playing at SRP. Huge shout out to Jay Matthews and the Evans Knights for, playing us. They're the only county school that'll play us right now. And it's a lot of fun. That's good competition, and I believe it just helps our guys.
Yeah, and then you guys go pretty solid after that, taking it all the way to the championship series, win the first game against Hammond. How big was it to get that first one in that championship series, especially knowing what happened in game two?
It's huge. It's all the momentum. Game one is the most important game. You win that one, you feel pretty good. Now the pressure's off of you. A good game plan, and we just didn't hit the ball well to start. And they scored 5 runs in that first inning, game two, and they didn't score again. So, we had one bad inning, and that's kind of been the story of our losses all year, was just one bad inning. Kind of determined the game, and we only lost 5 times all year, but that we had to stay away from the one inning.
Yeah, and then came away in game three, obviously, with the big win. What were you telling your guys before that winner-take-all game?
Well, it kept getting rained out, and I think they saw the frustration on my face. We'd be in the locker room ready to go, and then we get the notification that, hey, game's pushed back. So it kept getting pushed back. We couldn't play on that Saturday because our guys had graduation. So then we tried Sunday, and we knew if we got to Sunday, Jeb could throw again. And then it got pushed back from Sunday to Monday, so it just gave Jeb another day of rest. We had all of our horses ready to go with Jeb, Wilson, and Khalil. I think, but the story was just, stay up, stay for the team. We can't control outside circumstances. And when you get in the moment ready to go, we've got to strike first. We had the opportunity to be the away team. And I harped, that whole week that we've got to score first. We put 3 on them in the first, and then I think we got a little too comfortable there in the bottom of the first. Jeb was a little shaky, went out, we talked to him, calmed him down, and then he didn't let up another hit the rest of the way.
Yeah, when you got to Augusta Christian, it was just last year. This is only year 2 for you. When you get there and you look up and you see the banners, the 3 times in a row, 5, 6, 7, did you feel any pressure coming in here knowing the rich tradition that Augusta Christian has in baseball?
There wasn't any pressure. I think the team was in a kind of a lull period. We had Jeb in there. We had Chase Williamson, Grayson Brookers, Miles Guerrero, and Austin LaBelle. But other than that, we had some young guys coming up. We had a shortstop starting a freshman at shortstop starting my first year. And that's kind of unheard of in high school baseball at the varsity level. So there really wasn't any pressure. It's more about, leading these guys to Christ and helping them become men. Baseball's kind of second fiddle as it should be. Um, and then we had some guys come in my first year and then some guys come in this year that really made us a baseball team. That spoke for itself.
Yeah, and an interesting thing you bring up there, talking about leading these guys to Christ, and we hear a lot of coaches talk about faith and how they integrate that in their program. How do you feel that that helped you guys, and did you feel like it brought you closer together, having that one thing, and really two things when you talk about baseball, but that faith that really unified you guys?
Absolutely. We had the same kid pray before every game. It was kind of tradition. Um, and I think, with Coach Bordeaux, who's, the one of the assistants on the team, his faith is number one. I mean, I tell everybody that, I'm saved, not sanctified. Well, Coach Bordeaux is sanctified. He is just a wonderful man, and he has a message for the boys every day at practice. Always has a Bible verse, and I think that helps them become more like brothers, because they're brothers in Christ, not just on the baseball field, but outside. They talk about real life. We have real conversations with them. We have a little more leniency of what we can say about the Bible and Christ than a public school would.
Yeah, absolutely. In my experience, what I've seen is when you have that outside unifier, other than just the sport itself, having that outside unifier really can propel a team to that championship level. So you've been there for 2 years now. At what point in your 2 years did you say, okay, this team can be something special? We can go on and win a state championship?
It's funny you mentioned that. At our preseason baseball meeting, I think last August, August 22. Um, I didn't remember saying this, but one of our middle school coaches came up to me after the game. He said, "You remember at the meeting, you said if we don't win a state championship this year, it's your fault and that you hold all the responsibility." So I guess that's when I knew that this team could be very, very good. And I think it really hit me, going into spring break. We lost to Evans game one, and then we went on a 12-game win streak. And just seeing the guys battle and how they competed in the region, especially because our region's tough. There's a lot of good baseball players in our region, and we just handled them. We came back after spring break, and then we're a little cooled. The guys went off, had fun on the spring break, and maybe not have baseballed as much as they should have. Um, but when we started heating up again, it was there.
Yeah, they just locked in and came back and had it going. What is it about this group that's so special? Because it takes more than just talent to win a state championship. As you know, you've been around baseball for a long time. What was it about this group that was so special?
Their brotherhood, the way they bonded and got real close real early. There's a lot of alpha mentalities on that team. And usually that could create some problems, but they all bought in. And I think each one of our leaders, had their own way of leading, and people just followed. When the top of the lineup was struggling, the bottom was hot. When the bottom was struggling, the top was hot. When the hitting wasn't there, our pitching was. So they all just kind of bought in and played for each other, and for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back.
Yeah, and you mentioned that if you don't win a state championship, it's all your fault. But I feel like I know the answer to this. You're not taking all the credit now that you've won the state championship, I'm sure.
Ab- Absolutely not. At the end, I'm like, I just wrote names on a lineup card, and I let the boys play. I've had a bunch of people ask me, what about this team? I said, I just let them play. We coach them hard in practice, and I'm a loud person and I get on them. But in the game, hey, just go out there and do the thing you've been doing for the last 12 to 15 years of your life. I mean, you know how to do it. Just go execute.
Yeah. You and I were talking a little bit before we started here, and you had mentioned a little bit of your background playing here in the area in high school and in college, coaching at different levels. You've seen baseball for a long time. When you got that medal around your neck, when you won the state championship, where did that moment rank for you in your entire baseball career?
Number one. Absolutely number one. I was fortunate enough to play in two state championships, my junior and senior year of high school. We came up short both of those, so this was, a little redemption for me. But it's definitely number one on the baseball list.
Yeah, I've got one more for you, then I'll turn it over to Dan. We heard from Charles Cooper, your athletic director, and the support that he has for you. What does your team mean to the community, and in turn, what does the community mean to your team?
It means everything. In our playoff run, I saw a lot of coaches from a lot of different schools, a lot of fans from a lot of different schools show up and support us, mainly because all these boys play baseball together all year round with different travel organizations, like Complete Game or others. You know, they're all pulling for each other. I went and watched several playoff games locally. I just love baseball. So the community's huge. I think when you have community support, it just helps the team that extra step.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great thing to see. We love to see people out here supporting the local kids. Dan, I'll turn it over to you here if you got anything.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about seeing you guys this year, especially before game one of the state championship, when I was there with you guys in pregame warmups, it felt like there was a calmness and there was a confidence that you don't really see in a lot of different teams. Because when teams are playing in a game like that, more often than not, you see people on edge. You see, kids unable to stand still and really bouncing around. Like, I know that I was like that for sure. So when you think about this group specifically, what about them allowed them to put themselves in a situation where they could have that confidence and be relaxed before big games like that?
I think it's just because we let them play. They just knew they had to go out there and do what they've always done, and the rest would take care of itself. I mean, even if we didn't come out, with a state championship, those guys are still winners. I mean, they're going to be great husbands and fathers and doctors and lawyers. And, some of them are going on to play high level college baseball. So, you know, their identity isn't in baseball. And I think that's what helped them be so calm and, comfortable.
And obviously when you play on that level and you win a state championship or you put yourself in a position to, there are a lot of personal accolades that come along the way, whether it was Khalil being recognized, whether it was yourself, whether it was kids getting offers to go to college, all these different things. How important do you feel like the last 2 years of you leading the team and just where this team is going and the trajectory of everything for the future of these kids and yourself, even just knowing how much you can gain from opportunities like this if you ball out and do what you have to do on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, the opportunities are endless for them. I think the program's headed in the right direction, and it was headed in the right direction before me, with Coach Romer. A lot of those guys still love him, and he still came around. Um, but the opportunities are there because of a state championship. But at the end of the day, it's a sport. It's a ring. It's a nice piece of hardware. That kind of thing. But like I said, their identity is not in baseball. I mean, there's some of them who are 100% baseball, and it's fine. I was that way. Um, but some of these other guys, they're going to start careers. They're going into the real world. And I think this season helped them with that. It helped them learn about life a little bit. But there's not one kid on this team who I don't believe is going to do something special in their life.
And speaking of, special moments, when I was at the awards dinner that you guys had, there was a lot of emotion that came out that night. I know you got emotional when you were up at the podium. I know a lot of the players were, the parents were. I guess, how special is it to share a moment like that and to have individual recognition for all the kids and all of their individual contributions on a daily basis? And just what was it like to be able to experience that with this group that has done so much on the baseball field and off, as you mentioned?
It absolutely special. At the awards banquet, I was trying to hold back the emotion. And I think you're referencing when we retired Jeb Bradford's number for the next 4 years. There's not enough to say about what this team meant to me, and especially that kid. Nobody saw him working at 9, 10 o'clock at night, on a school night up at the field, we're doing individual drills and trying to get him healthy and staying, at a high level. Um, so being able to do that for him, it was special for me because he's earned it. I think a lot of people have always looked at Jeb, and like he had something to prove. And he has a certain confidence about him that some people don't like. Um, I for one loved it. Me and my wife sit back and we'll call him, he's the team peacock, because he likes to let his colors show sometime, and that's fine to play like that. Um, but a lot of people have doubted that kid along the way, and being able to do that for him was something special.
And something that was kind of funny at the end of the whole thing. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you guys have a base from the state championship field. So can you tell me a little bit about that and what, I guess, inspired you guys to do that and the exciting nature of what that means?
So I know a little bit how it came apart. After the game, everybody's celebrating, and I see Coach Cooper, our athletic director, walking around with a base, and I'm like, "Hey, why do you have a base?" And then he said, Barrett Donnelly told me to grab the base and tell Lexington High School to bill us for it because they wanted the base. So I thought the base would stay at the school, kind of on showcase for everybody. And then Cooper says, hey, we're not keeping it, we're giving it to Coach. That was kind of fun. It was cool. It's hanging up in my garage now.
Moving forward, what is this team? What are these players? What do you have to do to continue to, maybe put a whole baseball field together when it comes to the different hardware that you guys might be able to add up?
We've just got to keep competing, and keep getting better every day. I harped on them all year, 1% better. And when we got into the playoffs, it was, are you committed or are you interested? Because if you're just interested in winning this thing, it's not really for you. But if you're committed, let's go, let's get it. But they've got to stay hungry for it. Now that we've basically reached the mountaintop, we've got to build another mountain to climb that one too. And I don't think anybody on this team gets complacent. They've all got something to prove. I mean, we've got two huge Division I signees, and a whole bunch of guys behind them, who can play it. Wilson Donnelly, he's going to be, a dark horse, whether, he goes Division I or not. But, we've got a bunch of guys who are ready for that next level. And I think that keeps them hungry because, again, all of these guys have something to prove. There's all zoned for different public high schools. And they decided to pay the tuition and come to Augusta Christian for whatever reasons on their own. But now they're here. And I think they have a lot of people they want to prove wrong.
Coach, thank you again for your time. This was great. And I'm excited for you guys. This is going to be awesome. A bright future, to say the least.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, Coach, I just had one more quick one for you. When you play this deep into a season, you may have to postpone a family vacation or, put off a dinner until the season's over because you're playing a little bit longer than most teams. Your weekends and everything's been spoken for the last few months. What's the off season look like for you? Kicking your feet up and relaxing?
I wish. We've got a 10-month-old, my wife and I, so she's keeping us on our toes. We're on vacation this week, but when I get back, it's back to coaching baseball, with complete game and helping some of these guys, try to earn college scholarships. So baseball never really stops for me, on the weekends at least, but it's nice to enjoy time off and time with family. On this vacation, I've got another one in July, but it's still very much baseball for me.
Absolutely. Well, some well-earned vacation time there for you. We do appreciate you taking a little bit out of that to come chat with us this morning. So congratulations again, and we hope to be having the same conversation again with you next year.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it and look forward to seeing you guys around.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
See you, Coach.
Recording.
All right, we appreciate Coach Austin Robinson joining us there, fresh off a state championship with Augusta Christian baseball, their first since 2007, which was the third of 3 straight for them back in 05, 06, and 07. So really great to hear from him. again after a couple weeks of being able to soak it in and get prepared now for making the repeat run. So this morning, thanks to you as well, we will probably go ahead and wrap it up for a little bit here. See if we may jump back on before midday, but if not, we'll throw local news live on there, and we'll have the midday newscast coming up in a little bit.